What's up, everyone? Welcome to Sep Sunday School. Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing really well. It's been so long since I've seen any of you guys at Sunday School, but hopefully, in a few months or so, we'll be able to get back to church and back to Sunday School. Because I know some of you guys are really missing it. Even I'm missing it, and I don't even go, but hopefully, we'll be back soon. But today, it's not just me. I have a very special guest with me, but he's actually really shy. And it's going to be quite hard to get him in camera because he's never actually been on camera before. So just bear with me for a second. Right, come on, Mr. Sock, come on. Right, they can't see you. Do you want to be on this or not? Because you told me you wanted to. Right, here we go. Okay, so this is Mr. Sock. As you can see, he's quite nervous. Are you nervous? Yes, he is very nervous. Can you introduce yourself? Why not? Okay, Mr. Sock says that he's actually a very talkative sock, but he's too nervous to talk to the camera at the minute. So maybe later you'll hear him talk. But for now, he's just going to talk to me and I'm going to tell you what he says. But can you tell us what you've been doing recently over lockdown? Okay, so he tells me because Boris Johnson said that we're allowed to go on holiday and stay overnight places, he decided to take this time to go on holiday. Now, where did you go on holiday? No way. Mr. Sock said he went to space on holiday. How on earth did you get to space? Okay. So Mr. Sock tells me he's got this really good friend called Elon Musk who somehow has access to space. Okay, yeah, right. So Elon said that he wouldn't take Mr. Sock to space unless he had the right training. But thankfully, Mr. Sock went to Space Academy last summer and he graduated from it, which meant that he was able to go to space. Okay, he said he really enjoyed it, but it's really cold. And for some reason he says it was all over TV, and you might have seen him on TV a few weeks ago. But he says he's got some clips that he wants to show you, so let's watch those clips right now.
11, 10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Mr. Sock, that is so cool that you went to space. I would love to go to space because space is something that I've wondered about since I was a little child. There's so much out there and you got to see the sun, the moon, the stars. Were you not so scared about going to space? Are we not so scared because there's so much out there that we don't know about and anything could have happened? And you know what? That reminds me of a story in the Bible which we can read in Daniel. And it's about 3 young men who were taken from their hometown called Jerusalem, and they were taken to this strange place called Babylon. Have you ever heard of that story, Mr. Sock? Would you like to hear about that story? Right, okay, so let's join Mr. Sock and let's explore this story and what it has to say to us. So this story is about these 3 young men with really funny names, and their names are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. How weird are those names? But they were taken by an army to the strange place they'd never been before, where they would be used as slaves. And this place that they were being taken to was called Babylon. And Babylon had this really powerful king with a really weird name as well. But his name was King Nebuchadnezzar. And he was actually a really proud king, and he wasn't a very nice king either. And you know what? I would have been really scared to be taken to live in Babylon, because these guys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were taken to be slaves in another country where they didn't know anyone, and King Nebuchadnezzar wasn't very nice. Now, Mr. Sock, I know that you weren't scared going to space, but do you not think you would be scared going to Babylon if you were in their shoes? Yeah, it would be pretty rough. But you know what? They weren't scared at all because they followed and trusted in God. But one day, because King Nebuchadnezzar was so proud of himself, he decided that he wanted to build this really big golden statue that was 90 feet tall. And to show you how big that is, let me show you this picture. So you all know Luke, and you know that he's very tall, but he's only about 6 foot. But the statue that King Nebuchadnezzar wanted to build was 90 feet tall. So this would be the size of 15 Lukes stacked on top of each other. Now imagine how tall that would be. And it was all made of gold. So after King Nebuchadnezzar built the statue, he invited everyone and all the important people from around the country to come see this amazing golden statue. And then he made an announcement, and that was, whenever you hear the music playing, you must fall down before the statue and worship it. But if you didn't fall down and worship the statue, he would take you and throw you into a fiery furnace. So, Mr. Sock, it would seem that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are in a pretty sticky situation, because they only worship and follow God, but King Nebuchadnezzar is saying that you have to bow down and worship this golden statue that I've made. How are they going to get out of this situation, Mr. Sock? He doesn't know. Anyway, let's find out what happens next. So eventually King Nebuchadnezzar commanded that the music starts to play, and everyone who heard the music came and bowed before the statue. But what about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? What do you guys at home think they did? They didn't bow. And they didn't bow because they only worshipped the one true God. And this made King Nebuchadnezzar furious. So then he demanded that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were brought to him instantly. Wow, Mr. Sock, they had to be so brave to do that. But they did the right thing, didn't they? Yeah. Something to say? Okay, so Mr. Sock says that he's really worried about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego now, because they're really not in a great situation. But you know what? King Nebuchadnezzar gives them one last chance to bow before the golden statue, otherwise he was going to throw them in the fiery furnace. Now, Mr. Sock, what do you think they did? Yeah, you're right. They did the right thing, and they didn't give in to King Nebuchadnezzar, and they didn't bow down or they didn't worship the golden statue, and they were so brave to do that. And they told the king that the one true God that they worshipped could save them from the furnace, but even if he didn't save them from the furnace, that they were not going to bow down and worship the golden statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had made. So after Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego told the king that they would only follow God, King Nebuchadnezzar became even angrier. And then he commanded that the furnace is made 7 times hotter than it already was. Now guys, imagine how hot that would be. So then the guards took Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and threw them in the fire. Surely this looked like the end for them. But thankfully it wasn't. King Nebuchadnezzar looked in the fire and asked the guards, "Did you not tie up and throw 3 men in the furnace?" And they replied, "Yes, your majesty." But then King Nebuchadnezzar said, "Look, I see 4 men walking around, not being hurt by the fire, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods." King Nebuchadnezzar was so shocked at this, so he opened the furnace and commanded that they come out. When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out, King Nebuchadnezzar looked at their clothes, and not one of them had been burnt, and they didn't even smell like smoke. Wow, what an amazing story we just heard, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, so for a minute, Mr. Sock thought that during the story that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were going to die, but thankfully he didn't, and God saved them. Wasn't that so good? Yeah, so why do you think they weren't scared of King Nebuchadnezzar? Because the king had the power to do whatever he wanted to them, but they still weren't scared. Why do you think? Yeah, exactly, because they trusted and they knew they had God on their side. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego showed everyone that no matter what happened to them, they didn't have to fear because God was always with them. How amazing is that? And sometimes we can be scared of things that can happen in our lives, but just like this story shows, and just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were able to do, if we trust in God, no matter what the situation is, we don't have to fear anything because God is so much more powerful than any king, queen, or anything in the universe. So Mr. Sock has just told me that after hearing that amazing story about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that it reminded him of a Bible verse that we can read in the book of Romans. And it's from Romans chapter 8, verse 31. And it says, "What shall we say about such wonderful things as these? If God is for us, who can ever be against us?" And what that verse is saying is that whenever we choose to trust in God, just the same way that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did, that He will always be for us because He loves us so much. And how do we know that He loves us? Well, He sent Jesus to die on the cross for our sins so that we didn't have to pay the price for them. And that's such an amazing message that we can share with our friends and family because it is so good.